What's up, you guys? Happy Fan Friday. He is back, but we are missing Drew. Drew taking the morning off. He's not feeling 100%. So, why not just do the show without the guardrails of things? So, always happy to have Justin Fan on for a day that we need him. We need you, Fan, for a 12-game massive Q tag, doubtful SGA tag. So much to parse through here. This week has been hell. I'm happy to be through it. First, how are you doing? And second, who's more likely to play today? Marco Fultz, Sasha Vezenkov, or Matisse Thybulle?
Oh my gosh. I'm doing well. I knew that Dink was trending towards out when you got the late Q tag this morning for illness. So not a surprise. I have 3 hours to kill right now. So, there's a possibility we might run a 3-hour show. Who knows? Vezenkov is dead. I don't believe he needs to hit his quota of participating in 18 shoot-arounds first before he's clear to play. You just have to be sure. With the other two are Thybulle and who?
Marco Fultz.
I'll say Fultz is more likely, but I still think Fultz sits. I think all three sit. Yeah. We can get to those guys a little later.
I think Matisse is the most likely.
Okay.
Let's hop in. Again, a lot to talk about here. Let's start with the Golden State Warriors. Jonathan Kuminga, we saw him miss the last game for knee soreness. Found out it was mostly back-to-back related there. And then Dario's not even playing. He's questionable there. And then obviously we saw Klay Thompson take the starting job and lock it down.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts on Jonathan Kuminga's availability against the Hornets tonight?
Yeah, Kerr said Kuminga is dealing with some tendonitis in that knee right now. Said it's a minor issue. The hope is that they gave him Wednesday's game off, Thursday off as well, that he'll be back in the lineup today on Friday. They are 12.5-point favorites tonight against the Hornets, so don't necessarily need him. But at the same time, every game for them is really important the rest of the way, with the Rockets ripping off 10 straight and just one game behind them right now for the play-in. So I think Kuminga should be back in the lineup tonight. That means TJD is back to the bench, so he'll play a ton again off the bench and be in a really good spot against his Hornets defense. I think Moody did a really good job filling in for Kuminga last game, and with the Draymond shenanigans getting ejected less than 4 minutes in the game, he did a really good job filling in. Andrew Wiggins probably takes a bit of a step back in terms of usage, with Kuminga likely back in the lineup tonight. And like you mentioned, Pod's been a really tough stretch for him, my guy. I think he's still a really good future, but I thought it was time for them to make a change. So yeah, Klay should be in there the rest of the way. Don't have a ton else to add. Really good matchup for Kuminga if he's 100%. Are we kind of expecting any sort of limitations for Kuminga? Assuming he is clear to return tonight.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to go. Like you said, it's just a little tendonitis, one game off, huge win without him and Draymond minus 4 minutes. We saw Steph also. I want to talk about him really quick. Chris said he was going to play him 30. He did not. He played him 35. So was that Draymond related kind of thing? So I think they were like, okay, we got to get this game. So we'll see. You got the Steph Curry family narrative against his brother who won't play, and then his dad does the color there. So they're pretty much good to go there. Obviously, if Kuminga didn't play, Trace Jackson-Davis would be in a smash spot against a center spot. We'd love to attack there. But pretty much good to go. I think Klay's in a pretty good spot. Klay went from the great matchup in Miami and then a bad matchup in Orlando. So
yeah, to close this out real quick on Steph, we've heard these comments from coaches, and Kerr being one of them, that they want to get the minutes down. But it's basically like game matchup dependent, right? I think Kerr's kind of looking at the schedule the rest of the way. Where can I buy rest for Steph? Where can I get him to 28 to 30 minutes? Tonight, I think qualifies as maybe one of those spots if they can take care of business. If they play San Antonio on Sunday, they have Utah, Portland, games down the line. So a lot of these spots where they're playing like Dallas, Houston, the Lakers, the Pelicans, Steph's going to have to play 35 minutes. So I think you kind of take that with a grain of salt and just kind of depend. It's very dependent, game flow dependent, assuming he can buy some time for him.
Yeah, last thing I'll say, he was pretty quiet in the last time they played Charlotte. It was a really low-scoring game, but they had Cody Martin guarding him. I think it's going to be Trey Mann guarding him, so really easy matchup for Steph if he can kind of get it going. Speaking of the Hornets, They broke 100 for the first time since March 14th. Really awesome game from them last time. 56 rim points is their most since November. Really poor performance from the Cavs. We'll talk about them in a minute, but really nothing new here. Davis Bertans probable. I think we can mostly move through this. If you have anything you want to add on Charlotte.
No, not too much. Not too interested in them. Congrats for them breaking 100.
Yeah, I will add though. Trey Mann's role has been pretty strong. Like they've been splitting the handling duties, and then Brandon Miller's pick and roll game has really jumped up.
Yeah,
Matchup for Miller, especially if Kuminga and is out there, because I think that would mean Andrew Wiggins gets Miller. Instead, it would have been the other way around. So I think that's kind of matchup wise looking for Kuminga there. Let's move on to one of the bigger Q tags on the day. That's the Lakers. We've got the usual Q tags, but they carry a little bit more weight and should add. The market is expecting. It looks like the market's leaning a little bit out here. We've got some unders on some guys. The lines moved a little bit on the Lakers. We saw Anthony Davis, that left knee bumped into Chris Middleton and did not look right, limping all over the place despite hitting threes, and one of the biggest wins for the Lakers all year. And then LeBron, we saw him get managed on the front end, and then played great on the back end, triple-double. So what are you expecting for these two big Laker Q tags?
Yeah, so I think LeBron will be back in there and play tonight after returning last game. We've got some comments on him, some color. He said he has to be strategic and smart moving forward on how he managed that ankle the rest of the season. And it's kind of like what I talked about with Steph, where they're going to pick their spots, and you kind of look at their schedule the rest of the way. They have 2 back-to-backs over the next 9 days. That April 3rd game against the Wizards is like a prime rest spot for LeBron, in a back-to-back. So, I think these comments are more, if they can in back-to-backs, I think I'm more worried than kind of in these, games where they have some time off. I think they play next on Sunday. So would expect LeBron to be back in there. AD, I think, is probably genuinely 50-50. We kind of saw him on Tuesday, got it out, that double OT game, played 52 minutes, was grabbing at that knee throughout the fourth quarter. Both those OT periods, was getting treatment like during the game, like when Bucks were shooting free throws, he was by their bench, getting massaged and all that. And was a game time decision, quote unquote, on Wednesday, though we knew he had no shot of playing in that back to back. Anyways, I do think he has a decent shot of playing this year. I mean, this is a different AD. Like, he's played through a lot of stuff. You include that in-season tournament championship game, he's played the 6th most minutes of any player in the league this season. So kind of the narratives of him kind of being, softer or whatever, or not playing through injuries, he has proven that this season. So, I do think, even though, the books, they're +4 right now, on the road against the Pacers, it kind of leans, that he doesn't play, which would make sense. I do think he has a decent shot. So I won't kind of count him out just yet. And he has dominated this matchup in the last 3 games. Just the last 2 games he's played the Pacers this season, he's averaged 39, 18 and 4 with 4 stocks. So if he goes, I think he probably won't be having any sort of limitations, and this is a really good spot for him overall against Miles Turner and this Pacers team. So yeah.
If he didn't have a Q tag, he would have been a prime candidate for a cover boy for me. I agree. This is a fantastic spot for him. Obviously, if he doesn't play, Jackson Hayes would start. Everything else I think is pretty straightforward. And I'm mad at Rui Hachimura. The Lefko versus parlay, I had Rui Hachimura. We had Rui Hachimura 3s on there, and he hits 0. Goes out there and gets a career high 3s the next day. So I hate to see it. Let's go to the Pacers. Pretty straightforward injury report. We got Aaron Nesmith back the last game. And obviously this game's a shootout. We saw the 150, 145 over the weekend. So I don't think there's too much to note. Obviously, Jarris Walker's cutting in a little bit to maybe Obi Toppin. So anything you want to note? Obviously, Pascal Siakam went ham over the weekend. They put Rui single coverage on him. We'll see if that changes coverage wise. But anything on the Pacers?
No, maybe get right spot for Tyrese Halliburton, but I like Siakam spot better, especially if AD is not there.
Yeah, I think Tyrese is going to probably get D'Lo on him. We saw over the weekend it was Spencer Dinwiddie because D'Lo didn't play in that game. So let's stick with the LA teams. We've got the Clippers with a clean injury report. Do you want to add anything on them? I don't think we. I guess there's a couple things. Go ahead.
Yeah, they haven't been too crazy with the late ads this year as they have in seasons past. So I'm not too too scared about it. Plus, they're in a bit of a spiral, so they need to play themselves out of it. And Ty Lue's talking about their identity being soft right now, so they can't be taking games off. And this is a really like good test for them against a Magic team, that has been playing pretty well overall. So I don't have a ton, injury status wise to add here for the Clippers.
Only thing I'll add is I think that we've seen that PJ Tucker mixed in there. I think that makes no sense to do that against Orlando. A really big rim pressure team with the size they have. So I think that might go away. And then cool. Just thoughts on Kawhi real quick. He hasn't been as aggressive. The handling is like down a little bit. The touches are down a little bit. Do you have anything there? Like really, since he had that backslash groin thing, anything that you've seen there really quick?
No, and part of that's kind of PG, and we've covered this on the show where Ty's come out and said specifically that he wants PG to take on more of a pick and roll ball handler role, and we've kind of seen that come into fruition. So it's kind of shifted a little bit more towards PG's way, and he's that's one of the instances, I guess, where Ty Lue said something and it's come through. We got a lot of coaching from him over the years.
Yeah, I'm pretty much tracking pick and roll handler for Paul George every time he's on the slate for when I write matchups. So with you there, let's jump over to Orlando. We did the Orlando Magic, man, first team to turn the test, but they'd get a C- every time because I was wondering where Markelle Fultz was on this injury report.
Yeah, and
he got added. He has not played a back-to-back since October. So we actually have him out in projections. Anything you want to add there? And then Gary Harris set to return from injury as well.
Yep. So that starting lineup should be Jalen Suggs, Gary Harris, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, Wendell Carter Jr., and then their bench. I'm expecting a 5-man of Cole Anthony, Jonathan Isaac, Mo Wagner, Anthony Black, and Joe Ingles. We'll note that over the last 3 years, the Magic pace has slowed down pretty significantly without Fultz on the court. I think that's kind of a bit of a factor. They've been a little bit more efficient offensively with Gary Harris and Cole out there, but we'll note the pace. That's something that's been pretty consistent the last 3 years with Fultz off the court.
Yeah, for sure. And then we did see a little bit of a rotation tweak with Anthony Black getting in the mix. I'm not 100% sure that's going to stay. After the game, Jamal Mosley said that was he has to, quote, stay ready, which is code for like, okay, we played him here, but we might not play him again. So a little unclear. I kind of, Caleb was game time, Caleb Houston. And I was kind of joking with the guys on our team, like, hey, I'm kind of betting he doesn't play. And we like dinged him for like the 0 risk. So shout out to me. Okay. The best basketball game of the night now. The Pistons and the Wizards. The Pistons are in bad shape, man, and they're so bad. How bad are they? They're so bad that like if Cade and Ivy don't play, like I'm betting the Wizards. Doing the minutes for this team is ridiculous. So we know we got some shoot around info. I'll just hand it to you on the Pistons injury report.
Yeah, Cade and Ivy were present at shoot around, which bodes well for their availability. We also got Marcus Sasser got added to the injury report with an illness. He's questionable. So another guard, that's in the mix. They got 3 guards now that are questionable in Cade, Ivy, and Sasser. The normal suspects are still out: Fontecchio, Quentin Grimes, Taj Gibson. So I think kind of start with Cade. The first half minutes, last 3 games. 15, 17, 16. So I think he's been pretty consistently tracking towards like 31, 32 minutes. And this one should be relatively close, like a lot of blowouts lately, just given how poorly they've played. So I have him at 31 minutes right now. I think that seems right, just given his first half minutes of the last couple games. If no Sasser, we'll probably see a little bit more of Evan Fournier, Malachi Flynn, Troy Brown Jr. I've been just with the projections here, just hedging minutes a lot. They have a lot of bodies actually available, so like mid-20s for the lower end starters, and then high teens for a lot of these bench guys. One guy I do want to talk about, specifically in this rotation is Tremezi Metu. He's seen his minutes kind of be a roller coaster as of late, 39, 17, and 32 over his last 3 games. His role has kind of been really dependent on matchups with Monty. So, in this spot against Washington, against a front court that doesn't have Rashawn Holmes, that is going to be a bit smaller, that's going to play some Kuz at center lineups as well. They have Bagley, Kuz, Anthony Gill, Vukcevic today. So I don't think this is going to be a high ceiling Tremezi Metu spot. I think I have him like 26-ish or something like that.
You have him 23. I'm expecting Troy and Toussaint and Wilma to start.
Yeah. So that's something we were talking about earlier. In our news chat is like, this Pistons lineup. So I think Metu coming off the bench is definitely in play. So I wouldn't kind of fall for these like 32, 39 minutes we've seen 2 of the last 3 games. Just not don't really need his size in this matchup against the Wizards. So last thing I'll say, we mentioned the lack of bodies in the Wizards front court sets up really well for Jalen Duren in that front court. A really good spot for him. We like to attack the Wizards centers as is, but given they're going to be decimated and Bagley's going to be out there starting most likely, really like this spot for Duren.
Yeah, 100%. Almost covered Boydham as well. We saw that last time he played a weak front court. He's been playing a lot of tough front courts like Cleveland, a couple of the good teams. Now he gets one of the best, if not the best. And now their center defense has gotten a lot better since Rashawn Holmes stepped in there. Like their rim numbers weren't as bad, but now they're back to where they were. Yep. So definitely a cover boy candidate for me. And then more usage can go his way. The whole we're gonna play him in post up stuff never came to fruition, but definitely a massive Jalen Duren spot. Was I think the runner up for my cover boy article today. So going to the Wizards. Yeah, Rashawn Holmes sprained his toe. It's pretty clear he's going to miss the rest of the night and then got ruled out early. Thank you for the non-questionable tag. We appreciate it for doing minutes. So, yeah, we kind of know the starting lineup here. Marvin Bagley started the second half, and he is not on a minutes restriction, according to Coach Brian Keefe. So we got a pretty good projection on him. I think we landed at 28. So expect him to start, and then the rest of the stars are the same. Jordan Poole, Denny Avdia, Corey Kispert, Kyle Kuzma. Talk to me about how they filled those minutes besides Marvin Bagley.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be like Vucevic and Hill. They played Vuk at the 4 a little bit too. Yeah, but I think obviously now without Rashawn Holmes, they'll have to adjust accordingly and play him a little bit more traditional at the 5. But
who do you have in front? I want to push Vooch because me, I love boosting the young players. Yeah. How do you have the hierarchy for Vooch, Gill, and PBJ?
I kind of hedge. I think I have both in like the 13-14 type range. I put Gill ahead for now just because he's the incumbent and they he's kind of stepped in before, and we kind of see the minutes distribution last game 16-4, so just gonna kind of lean that way for now. I think with Bagley, I think he has kind of minutes upside here to maybe get to 30. We saw him play 25 off the bench last game, and then what Mike said about not being on a hard cap could maybe sneak up up there. And we've seen, I kind of want to get to the 3 guys that have been carrying the load here with Kuzma, Jordan Poole, and Denny Avdia. Like these guys have really solid floors, and I am kind of curious at what point the floors get a little shaky and they get kind of into tanking mode. But we haven't seen any of that lately. Like their minutes have been relatively pretty big, just given where they're at. They're like 34 to 36 with the potential for more. We're seeing, right there in that box score, Kuz get up to 44 in OT, and Poole get up to 45 in OT. So for now, those 3, like very little competition for usage and pretty solid minutes floors, and Kuz and Poole especially good spots today against the Pistons. So yeah.
Yeah, Tucson's going to guard Kuz. I'm pretty confident in that. And then whatever guard they're going to start, whatever shooting guard they're going to start, I guess. Maybe it's Ivy, maybe it's Sasser, is going to guard Poole. Poole catches a lot of flack for good reason. He's been playing really well. Crushed on ball, 14 points on 14 drives last game. He only missed 1 shot, 6 of 7 plus 2 free throws. I think he had 26 pick and roll handler points, which I think low key. I think Marvin Bagley, as much as we make fun of him for defense, he's a decent like pick and roll big. I think that actually low key helps Jordan Poole in a matchup I really like. And again, I'm probably betting Washington if I can catch the news. If they're missing even one of Cade or Ivy, I think that's a big swing because you're adding so much Malachi Flynn, you're counting on so much Sasser, you're playing some really iffy players for like 25 minutes plus. So I actually feel pretty good. But imagine that this is true March basketball where we're talking. I like the Wizards today. And then also should mention one more thing too. I think that another reason why I think they might sit is Tankathon. If Detroit could get this one, they are pretty secure for the 1 spot. So I think that's possibly part of the motivation there. Let's go to Chicago here. Just some probable tags. Alex Caruso is going to probably be probable for the rest of the year. We did get a probable illness tag. That always makes me perk up looking at you, Jimmy Butler. Any notes on those probable tags for the Bulls?
Not too much. Caruso is mostly relevant for Cam Thomas on the other end, I think. And Kobe, we finally got the acknowledgement from Donovan that the minutes might be the issue of why he's been in this shooting slump. Bounced back a little bit from 3 last game, but still been pretty rough overall. I don't have a ton else to add on the Bulls side.
I thought Kobe looked good. Let me get his stats because he had some really high drive stats in the last one. After that was dipping. Yeah, he had 20 drives. That's pretty good for him in 35 minutes. Billy Donovan called him a quote "let's go guy" to push some pace. So yeah, I'm into it. Like I think Kobe can kind of get it going here. Matchup's pretty good. The Nets have been pretty vulnerable to guard shooting, so I think the matchup's better for DeMar. I'm kind of encouraged by Kobe there. Let's go to the Nets. Oh, actually, I did want to mention Javonte Green comes out of nowhere, gets a plus 26 on a 10-day. He's going to get minutes. Billy Donovan said they need extra wing defense to help Torrey Craig because they want to use Caruso more as like on-ball guy. So we landed at 15, and like I kind of want to come up. Where are you at on Javonte really quick?
Yeah, I mean, there's clearly familiarity there. The comments were great, so I probably would come up a little bit from that 15 as well.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll probably go to 17 and a half or so. Yeah. So let's go to those Nets. We did get an update that after being listed probable, Dennis Smith Jr. got downgraded to doubtful. So we took him out of projections. Noah Clowney got upgraded to available. So he's going to be good to go. Obviously, Cam Thomas, you mentioned the Caruso matchup could be coming its way. Massive minutes for him. Mikal, Schroeder's playing a ton. So we know the starters are looking at pretty big minutes here. Kevin Ollie's kind of showing he could coach a little bit, but the bench is a mess. So if you want to add anything on the starters that you like, or how this bench is shaking out with Noah Clowney making some noise.
Yeah, so DSJ doubtful, I think, has some pretty clear implications because Jacob Gilyard is also out due to G League. So not a lot of guard depth today. They're going to have to play Lonnie Walker, has a step in. He's kind of been on the fringes, DMPCD sometimes too. So, he's going to have to see rotation minutes today. I think the biggest kind of thing for Dennis Smith Jr.'s absence is the minutes floor for Schroeder and Cam Thomas. So last 2 games without DSJ, Schroeder has played 37 and 38 minutes. You take out Jacob Gilyard and you put Lonnie Walker, they don't have guard depth. So we saw Cam Thomas play 40 minutes on Wednesday. That's a regulation without DSJ. So both those guys are looking at pretty massive minutes where you can pencil them in from like that 36 to 40 range, I think, for both, just given the situation. I think Claxton might be my favorite net here. We mentioned the Caruso matchup on Cam, and I can't quite get there. Mikal still, just given he's playing 37, 42 in his last 3 regulation games, and I still can't get there all the way on him. And he's just super frustrating. I think it might be Claxton for me. What do you think?
So I gave great matchup to Mikal, matchup-wise, because he's turned into a catch-and-shoot guy. What do we like against the Bulls, right? Yeah, so I think the matchup could get Mikal going. So I'm like we thinking I do this every time we talk. Like, come on, Mikal, come this time. Yeah. This time last year, Mikal was like 9K player on DFS. Jam him. He's gonna score like 35. Yeah. And now he's like almost 6Ks, and we can't get there. So I feel like this is a spot we can get him going. Again, maybe path release resistance with Cam Thomas probably getting Alex Caruso. Yeah. So very much like if not now, when kind of spot for McCall. And I do like the spot for Nick Claxton. I gave him a good matchup.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's move on to the Philadelphia 76ers, fresh with their 50K fines for Kelly Oubre and Nick Nurse. They got their money's worth for sure.
I think Oubre, it came out to like 8,300 per B word that he dropped on the rep. I did the math on that.
Hashtag math. Love to see it. All right, so we got Oubre. He made up for his shoulder injury. He lost a little bit of money, but at least his shoulder's feeling better. Got out there, played a ton. Tobias Harris finally got his minutes up at the expense of Kyle Lowry. We did see the DJ Wilson stuff go away. And obviously Tyrese Maxey, the last 2 times he's played the Clippers, he's played 44 minutes per game. So, thoughts on the 76ers today?
Pass. Don't like matchup for them. Yeah, I think you're always in a Tyrese Maxey just because he's Tyrese Maxey. Yep. Otherwise, I don't really have a ton of interest in any of these guys today.
Yeah, I wrote up Tyrese Maxey for matchups, and I didn't write a damn thing else for anybody else. I do not care. So yeah, let's talk about the
Yeah.
other side. This is one of the bigger ones of the day.
Yep.
Donovan Mitchell, he is listed as questionable. Multiple reports saying he is expected to be back. It's TBD if he'll be wearing a mask. But he does have this knee thing, and people
Mhm.
forget he's listed with a nose thing, but he is listed. He is not listed with the knee, but I'm more worried about the knee thing. We have a limit on him. I'll
Yep.
hand it to you there on Donovan Mitchell. We saw Max Strus return, and then, as I mentioned on the last show, he was kind of on the Evan Mobley plan of getting to
Yep.
20 to 25 minutes. That came to fruition, despite shooting freaking awesome. So,
Yeah.
anything with the, and should mention Darius Garland's got a P tag for a little ankle tweak. Go ahead
Yep.
with Caps.
Yep. So expecting to let him know tweet later today from D Mitch. So he'll be back in the lineup, but expect he went through shoot around with that black mask protecting his nose. So we should see masked donning tonight. Garland also present at shoot around with that P tag. We'll note that Karis LeVert got added to the injury report with a sore wrist, so he got downgraded to questionable. Let's start. Yeah, there's a lot to get to here. So let's start with Donovan Mitchell. Should be a bit capped here. I think the ETR guys, with Mike have done a really good job kind of identifying that when he's back from these injuries that he will be capped. Expecting that tonight, low 30s minutes. The knee is very much an issue, way more than the nose is. So, the comments from him before this fractured nose were that he had to miss more time, that he didn't feel quite 100%, that he's trying to get healthy for the playoffs. And we saw him for a pair of games in his return, and he looked awful. Like he said he was still kind of trying to work his way back after a PRP injection. I'm not expecting a ton from him here. I think he's a clear stay away. Going to be limited minutes wise. Not really sure how effective he's going to be with that knee. And the thing is, like, he has kind of an impact too with his other guys, with Garland, with Evan Mobley, taking away usage from them too. So I think, that kind of leaves by process of elimination. If Donnie's not 100%, if Garland and Mobley have to deal with Donnie's usage, if Strus is still on that minutes limit, then it leaves Jared Allen as the Cav that I would, most likely attack through today, in this spot. So not a whole lot else. If LeVert ends up missing, same day ad with that Q tag, it ends up being more Isaac Okoro, Sam Merrill, maybe Craig Porter Jr. But I don't think I have a ton of interest in the Cavs outside of Jared Allen today.
Yeah, I agree. Mobley's going to be on Tobias Harris. I should have mentioned that too. So I did read something about something beside Tyrese Maxey. But so I'm with you. I think it could be lighter. I'm curious to see if he has any Spider-Man themed masks for being in Spider Mitchell. And that's super important information. And then Maxey also benefits because you're taking Okoro out now. So I think he has a softer matchup as well. So I do actually like Maxey. I gave him a great matchup.
Yeah.
Their offense is just so bad though. So can't get too excited about them. Let's go to the Blazers, another team that is down bad. I mean, when Toumani Camara is out and we're feeling the squeeze, that's really showing you how thin they are. DeAndre Ayton, wrong. DeAndre matchup last time they played. So he got the elbow tendonitis. Jeremy Grant still doubtful. We got a questionable tag on Ashton Haggins, and I'm doing the G League counting. He's only got 4 games left on his 2-way deal. The Rip City remix, they are at home. They are across the country. So I am frantically trying to find where in the world is Ashton Haggins because we need guard minutes here. Who's starting for Toumani Camara? I think there's 2 candidates.
Yeah.
I feel pretty decent about one, but it could be someone else, perhaps one of the hottest players in the league as well.
Yeah, I think they're out of body, so it shouldn't be a shocker of who the candidates are. But the candidates are Jabari Walker and the league's best player, Delano Ben. So we have Walker in there for now, just kind of to keep Ben in that super sub role. I don't think it really matters for Ben either way. I actually maybe prefer him off the bench because he's going to play a ton of minutes regardless, just given how thin they are, and they might not have Ashton tonight either. We kind of tease this up top, but I am skeptical that Matisse Thybulle ends up returning. There's just no reason for him to, and we haven't really gotten much of an update. He's been Q out. So I don't know. A little skeptical on his availability, but if they don't have Ashton and they don't have Matisse, they are pretty thin on bodies. Seeing Banton, Duop Reith, Justin Minaya, and Baji as their other options off the bench. So those are bigs, mostly forwards and bigs. the last three in Reith, Manaya, and Baji. So Ben is going to have to play a ton again. So one other note here that want to bring up is Moses Brown listed out to G League. He was sent to the remix this morning. So that, generally is a good indicator that DeAndre Ayton should be back in the lineup tonight. Just because they're so short on bodies. Assuming they sent Moses back to the G League to work on his free throw shooting for him.
Oh my god, was he in at 23%?
Yeah. At that point, I feel like you just shoot underhand. I just I feel like that sidearm, catapult thing is way more embarrassing. So yeah, that's kind of all I have. I mean, 14-point spread here against the Heat, terrible matchup. So Delano is kind of the only guy I'm really into here. What do you think?
I want to Scoot. Scoot's been better, a little bit better on his layups, and he's driving a ton. Among every player who's played in each of their last 5 games, he's first in drives. This obviously SGA missed a game, that's why he's first. So, but he's playing he's got a role, and he may not have a backup point guard behind him. So, we talk about this so often. He just keeps shooting himself in the foot. Stop fouling, bro. Yeah. So I want to Scoot. I
think it's a good spot. I think it's a good spot. He's super thin. If he doesn't foul, he's going to play a ton, right? And the role should be fine. Obviously, not a great matchup, but I mean, I think he can still get there for sure.
He can't make layups anyways, so it doesn't really matter who's defending it. So I think the volume could be pretty good. I'm with you there. Only other note I'll add is don't forget a couple games ago, I think against Chicago, they did run a big front court of Jabari Walker, Duop Reith, and DeAndre Ayton together. Yeah. So I think that if they're thinning out these minutes here, I think we might see some Duop at the 4 just to help out. And again, they've got all these centers as well. So I just want to note that. But yeah, I mean, Delano Banton, for a guy that was nowhere near minutes, not even getting garbage time minutes, basically. He's out there just absolutely crushing, shooting 66% on drives over his last 4. He's been freaking great. Miami, the jerk store called him. They're trying to return you because Eric Spoelstra said after the game that basically there was no chance Kevin Love was going to play. They listed him freaking questionable.
Yep.
Jimmy Butler probable doesn't play.
Yep.
I can't take it, man. I root against this team so hard because of the injury reporting. But go ahead on Miami.
Yeah, I mean, you covered Jimmy was probable heading to Tuesday before being downgraded to Q and then being ruled out. Was at practice on Thursday, got in limited work. Mm-hmm. My thing with Jimmy here is he's very much either he gives a shit or he doesn't. He's very much that type of player. He's the epitome of that player. And this is very much why would I care about a game in March against the Blazers type vibe for me. So obviously a really good spot matchup wise, but I am kind of worried about Jimmy's minutes and motivation here. I think this sets up. I mean, I probably would look towards Bam more if you want to attack through the Heat. I think he obviously has the really good matchup and doesn't really have the concern that I have about Jimmy in this spot. So yeah, I think Bam would be the guy for me. And yeah, not sure what Kevin Love's probable tag to me. We need to kind of ask Bo what does that mean doubtful? Does that mean question? We know it doesn't mean probable, but where do we land on the spectrum?
Yeah, he was like, "Oh yeah, we don't want to get fined for it." Oh yeah, thanks. We really we'd rather just lie than put out a proper injury report. Yeah, I almost covered Boyd Bam. The touch stuff's not great. He's been kind of benefiting as a roll man and cutting, which is a weak spot for the Blazers. They're really bad at stopping those plays. So really good Bam spot. I don't think his ceiling is that great, but I think he's a pretty good bet. Terry Rozier should have a pretty soft matchup here. Probably Scoot. Maybe he gets 6 free throws or so. It's crazy how consistent he is, though. Besides the Cleveland games, he's every night scoring 13 to 18 points. So it's tough to get excited about his ceiling. Still expecting Patty Mills to start, despite Haywood Highsmith playing fantastic off the bench last game. So I think that pretty much covers them. I don't want to talk about them anymore. Let's go to Phoenix. Pretty big Q tag on Jusuf Nurkic, who was called a game time, but I don't think he even warmed up. I thought he had no chance to play. I wanted to put him as an out in projections, but that's not our style. Mm-hmm. We know the last time he played OKC, he did quite well. Had 31 rebounds. What's the latest on Jusuf Nurkic?
Haven't had a ton of detail on him. We got a lot more detail on Bradley Beal from Dwayne Rankin, just about how he was kind of still dealing with a bit of had that wrap on his hand, that he was in like dribbling, and he looked a little limited. Didn't get too much on Nurkic though. So I think he's probably true 50-50. Wouldn't be surprised if he sits. They finally got their first win this season without Nurkic in the lineup. They were 0-4. I think Nuggets just didn't look very interested that game. So
Huge win.
Yeah, huge win for the Suns, and huge win for our Nuggets under, which is hanging on by a thread here. The thing I'll note on the Phoenix side without Nurkic last game was Thad Young like significantly outplayed Drew Eubanks. So I'm very interested to see what that dynamic looks like. And Thad, they were a way different team with him out there. So curious to see if that minute split that we saw last game, if Nurk is out 27-18, comes a bit closer together, just given how well Thad played.
Yeah. So after the game, Vogel said that he liked the foot speed to kind of throw like a curveball at Joker. And I thought he did great. And we were on that. We had him, I think, at 15 minutes. We were expecting a pretty good bit of Thad for that reason. So shout out to us. But yeah, and this is way different, right? So I think if Nurk sits, I think we could see a lot of small ball, or like a lot of it. You saw Kevin Durant block 5 shots. He was back in the Golden State defensive role where he's like the low man in the pick and roll coverage that they were running. And he was great at that spot. So pretty good spot for him. Probably going to get J-Dub on him. And then just to cover the matchups are really interesting here. I just want to talk about that. So last year we saw Kevin Durant and Booker were still on the team. They played each other. They put Dort on Booker and then J-Dub on Durant, which I think makes sense. And then it's a little bit cleaner. You put Case and Wallace on Bradley Beal. I think that's the cleanest to me. Do you have any thoughts on how they match up defensively? I think it's just an interesting question for like the true sickos out there.
I think Kaysen might guard Booker.
I thought that too, because they've been putting him on lead handlers a lot. We saw him guard Fred VanVleet.
I would probably go Kaysen on Booker would be my guess.
It's so small though.
Yeah, I know. But they just have confidence, in him in that role. So, I think that's the biggest question mark.
Yeah, I think Booker. I think KD's irrelevant. He's just like he could shoot over Dort. He could shoot over everyone. He killed my guy this year, J-Dub, with a 35 ball in just 35 minutes. So, pretty excited about the Suns. Tough to bet on them, but I think Nurk's going to sit, and that'll help Durant's rebounding. We saw the 13 rebounds, and again, the block shots I think were pretty sticky there. So let's go to OKC. Obviously, biggest doubtful tag of the day is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Was doing some work at shoot around, only with like the training staff, so he's still out. But Dink is going to the game at MSG on Sunday with Leone and Micah, Leone's son, and they're like begging SGA to play. So I think that's a good sign for him. But yeah, how are the Thunder going to handle the SGA-less lineup today?
Yeah, so I do want to cover SGA just a little bit. We saw you mentioned the shoot around stuff. Did some light conditioning work at shoot around. Was the last player at the gym. Did some 2-on-2 with the coaching staff. I do kind of want to add the caveat here, just so we have a little context, that the Thunder do have a history of upgrading doubtful players the day before to questionable on the day of. That is more for players traditionally that have been out for a while. So SGA doesn't quite fit that criteria. So, but I just want to put on the radar that they have done this in the past. So I wouldn't totally write off SGA playing today just yet.
Yep.
But assuming he does, and I think it's pretty clear where the offense is going to kind of flow through. Like J-Dub is going to be the headliner, just a massive role, against the Rockets without him, and then Chet, is going to, we just talked, Mike just talked about the possibility that if Nurk ends up missing, that the Suns might run some smaller lineups out there, which should benefit Chet even more. And then, I know no one really wants to talk about it, but Josh Giddey has been really good.
Yeah, really good.
He hit one the other night when he was sitting in the paint. That's how pure he's been. But he was literally sitting on the court, and hit. They call it a jump shot, but I don't know if that is correct. But I think it pretty clearly kind of rolls through those three. Case and Wallace is going to start, and we'll see. Isaiah Joe and kind of provide some backcourt depth. But yeah, I think that boxer is pretty indicative of kind of the rotation, I think.
Yep, for sure. And then one more thing to add, and all right, there's my cover boy, J-Dub. Last game without SGA, 27 drives, almost 8 minutes of touch time, had a 3-minute gap from Josh Giddey. He had all the role. What did the Thunder want to do? Drive the basketball. J-Dub all day. I'm thought about betting him triple double. He had 12 passes off drives. I thought he got really lucky on the assist. I think it was like 10 on 12 potentials. He's gonna have a huge game today. I want to see him. We like the minute ceiling hasn't been there, but I feel like this has to be the spot that, like I talked about this before SGA got hurt. Like he's so valuable to them that they could switch SGA's rotation. It's like, oh, we know J-Dub's got this. So I'm pretty excited for J-Dub today. Anything else OKC wise?
No, just got a report that Donnie's expected to play. We're not going with it just yet. Just need something better. But I think that was already an expectation that we're going to see to let him know at some point.
Yeah, he'll be in there.
Yeah.
Just a matter if he's wearing a mask and the minutes limit, which we'll see. And we'll see if they get them in. I'm curious if that news comes out. Like, we saw like the Max Strus minutes limit thing came out. Chris Feeder is really good, so it'll probably come out that he'll have minutes limit on him to see how that shapes the market. Cool, because actually we were actually thinking about taking a Max Strus under, and then you guys hit the Max Strus minutes limit. And the thing came out because I was very confident he had the minutes limit. So let's go to the Knicks here. Headline was Mitch Robinson returned 12 minutes. We knew he was going to be capped. Expecting that to continue. He just started 5-on-5 like a week ago, so I expect him to be pretty hard capped here. Deuce McBride continues to play a ton, and I was digging on his shot. He's shooting like 50% on like tightly contested threes. This dude just chucks it and makes it. So Jalen Brunson's been really cooking. Obviously Deuce playing great. We saw the DiVincenzo game. We've seen Josh Hart triple doubles. Jalen Brunson just coasted along, dropping 31 in his last 7 games. I almost cover boyed him here. Alec Burks questionable. Anything else on the Knicks?
No, I think we can move on. I think the Spurs with Keldon on the other side, not a ton to really add there either. I think he'll be back. But yeah, I think this game is fairly clean on injury news that we need to cover.
Yeah, pretty tough matchup for Wemby. Pretty good rim protection throughout this game with Isaiah Hartenstein.
What do you have Mitch's minutes, by the way?
We landed at 14 or 15. I think 15.
Okay. Got it.
Which is what we had before. So, I'm pretty sure he's not getting up to like 18, 19. Devin Vassell, my cover boy on Wednesday, worked out, scored 31. Not today. Getting a much tougher matchup. Knicks are playing awesome defense, even without OG. Their defense has been fantastic. And again, we saw with Mitch, they were really good. Mitch not 100%, but I think the Spurs are going to struggle to score a little bit today. Let's move on to
shout out Devin Vassell. Like the last 3 seasons, he hasn't scored 30 points in a single game. The last 3 seasons, he's scored 30 points 6 times already this season.
Yeah, he's been freaking great, and the minutes have been crazy strong, and the handling's back. Trey Jones doesn't even shoot anymore. Let's go to the second biggest game of the night after Pistons Wizards. That is the Wolves and the Nuggets. Q tags, we know the Rudy Gobert one. He gets listed with that rib strain. Pretty sure he's going to go. Anthony Edwards listed with questionable, but for a different reason. We saw listed for the finger when he messed up John Collins, but a back injury here. So not a complete like locked in go. Anything else on Anthony Edwards?
Yeah, he went through shoot around this morning. And he plays through everything, so I don't think there's any doubt that he's going to play through this. And you mentioned not a finger; it's a low back spasms. Makes me a little bit concerned because we've seen Ant at times be less than 100%, and that's kind of impact his aggressiveness and his production. So normally a spot that I would like for him against the Nuggets here in KCP, but I think there's a little bit possibly of a floor here if he isn't 100%. And usually like these teams like to just procedurally list guys with the same injuries. We see that all the time with the Lakers, for example. The fact that they kind of changed his injury designation to low back spasms after like they have been procedurally listing like more than as much as anybody, like Ants, Gobert's always on the injury report. I'm a little bit concerned, but not not overblowing, but there's a little bit of floor there, I think, potentially.
Yeah, he struggled a little bit with his shot. I'm not sure if it's because it's non-shooting hand, so I think he's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could think he's going to play a lot. I'm pretty
Yeah.
not concerned. I
Yeah.
think he'll be full go, and he'll have to be really busy. He's, you know, he won't see a lot of doubles. They won't really bring a lot of doubles with KCP, so I think he's in a pretty good spot. Really, the only guy I have interest in. I'm not too into Naz Reid today,
Yeah.
with the way Denver can rebound the basketball. So yeah, let's go to Denver here. Um, Big Q tag on Jamal Murray. Changed listing from ankle to knee. That was interesting on the last time there. Aaron Gordon returned from his plantar fasciitis and returned to full with 36 minutes.
Mhm.
Joke. So much for capping his minutes. Goes out there and gets 42. I think he had 23 potential assists. We had an over on his assists, and it was so
Yeah.
tilted. He had like 6 straight potential assists to get us the kill shot, but he did get to 10. We shouted out triple double on the stream and missed it by a board. Sad scene with 42 minutes. 42 minutes, you can't even get 10 boards, Joker. How do you? This is Joel Embiid could never. All right. So yeah, go ahead on any Jamal Murray updates. Anything else on the Nuggets?
We haven't had a ton of Jamal Murray news in terms of how he's progressing and all that. I do think there's a good chance he is back tonight. I would guess he plays in this big game, and they're kind of have been resting him, sitting him with this game in mind and targeting it. So I think he's back tonight. I am kind of skeptical how healthy he'll be, so don't really want to go there on him. He hasn't kind of looked himself, so I think this could be a good MPJ spot.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think obviously Joker's always in play. But yeah, I think MPJ can kind of continue to benefit even if Jamal's back.
Yep, I pretty much agree there. That'll be the way they have to attack. Obviously, the rim defense is going to be very bad for Aaron Gordon. So let's move on to the hottest team in the NBA. It's not the Denver Nuggets. It is the Houston Rockets, winners of 10 straight. Jalen Green is that dude. Drew Dinkmeyer and I recorded a podcast. It was, I love doing podcasts about teams that everyone's talking about them now, but I love to dig in and pull the stats. So I think you guys really like that. I got pretty excited about it. So yeah, I mean, this team's no real injuries, but yeah, if you want to let some takes fly on the hottest team in the league.
Yeah, I mean, the elephant in the room is like this is all coming up without Şengün too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what else to add on Jalen Green. I mean, he's been exceptional. I think obviously we know kind of the shot making has been there, especially from 3, but he's done a lot better in terms of navigating doubles that are thrown at him, navigating coverage, and just making better decisions. I think everybody just seeing these lines, but if you're watching the games, I mean, the decision making has come a long way, and the leap from him has been enormous, man. Because like the rap on Jalen was like he was just kind of a volume scorer that didn't do much else. That I don't know. They were looking at like he was on a trade block. I mean, the turnaround for him has been insane. Like he's playing like a top 15, 20 player right now. It's like undeniable. So, I mean, yeah, I don't really have a ton else to add for him, but I mean, him and Amen together in that starting lineup have been sensational. So, yeah, just really excited for the future of this team, man. I mean, they look incredible. Like no Şengün, Tari Eason's not in there either. Like they're missing pieces too. Cam Whitmore hasn't been in there.
Getting close, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, wild, man, wild.
Yeah,
really wild.
Yeah, I'll add 2 things to add. The last time he played Utah, he scored 41. So I was like, I could just write that and be good. But the guy is one of the hottest players in the league, so I actually like gave him some cool stats that I guess I could share. 37-4 over his last 10 over the winning streak, and it's been heavy pick and roll. He scored 26 points in pick and roll handling plays against the Thunder. They're like really good at stopping that play. And the transition scoring's been like down. In 5 of his last 6, he's had, kind of 0 to 6 transition points. Sorry, 4 of the last 5. The exception, Utah. Utah gets killed. So you have half court scoring and transition scoring that's going to come with it. He might score 40 again. I thought about covering bullying him, but it was too easy. I think he's going to completely smash. So I'm pretty excited about Jalen Green. And then, Amon Thompson, not as good of a matchup, but he's playing so well out of the dunker spot with the shot. And again, the transition will help him there. So
Mhm.
He could have a pretty big game. Someone on Houston's popping off, as I've been saying for weeks now. Utah is last year's Rockets. Like what guards are playing the Jazz? Like they're going to go off. This just happens every night.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Jazz, they are going to get Chris Dunn back from suspension. Still no
Mhm.
Jordan Clarkson, different injury here to his back after the groin, and that brings a question. We have Lauri Markkanen. That probably he is probably questionable,
Yep.
but he's fine. Played the whole freaking second half last game. So the big question for them is who starts. We've seen Colin Sexton start.
Should be done. Yeah, it should be done.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but I'm thinking Chris Dunn. We had that quote from Will Hardy last week saying like, "Hey, we're gonna put Sexton in the Clarkson role, and then they're gonna need somebody to try to guard
Yeah.
Jalen Green." So yeah, expecting Chris Dunn. Sounds like you're on the same page there.
Yeah, you feel good about Lowry playing. This is like
I
injury
don't.
maintenance,
Yeah, he said
tanking.
it was. Yeah, he
I
basically
mean,
said that
he
he's
looks good. I mean, he played 42 minutes last game, so
whole second half. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm with you, but I still like the last game he sat on Saturday. It was a non
Yep.
back to back, so this isn't just a back to back thing either. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I would guess he plays, but I'm not confident in that either. Right?
Yeah, their picks top 10 protected.
Yeah.
So they're trying. I mean, if they move down, they're probably not going to move down, but if they can move up a little bit, that would help their chances. So I definitely think they're tanking here. They've
Yeah.
lost 7 straight. Like this is clear on. And again, they're even saying they're doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. The only thing I'll note, Walker Kessler kind of lost like a half rotation. I think he got yelled at by Will Hardy. So we saw like a sneaky
Mhm.
yurt rotation, like a half a rotation. That was kind
Mhm.
of just weird. Pretty much throwing that out. We're expecting the Walker Kessler, John Collins to cover those minutes there. Tough matchup for Keontae George here. I think Amen Thompson's going to cover him, and I mean Amen is just hounding dudes, man. So I want nothing to do with my guy, Keontae George. Let's go to this. Might be I don't know what's a bigger game. I mean the Denver game is pretty big, but Dallas Sacramento is a pretty big game. They got the little baseball series. We saw Dallas
Yeah.
absolutely torch them on Tuesday night. Luka, who's Q tags? They're like the reverse Matisse Thybulle, Shasta Vezenkov. Him and DeJounte, like their Q tags are irrelevant.
Yeah.
We should talk about DeJounte to get us over an hour. But yeah, is this Luka tag fake? Obviously a big game. They on a back-to-back on a Q tag.
Yeah.
He was headed for full minutes, didn't play in the fourth quarter. So
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead on the Mavs.
So I think I don't think it's a fake Q tag on Luka.
Yeah.
So the reports from I think it was McMahon or maybe the Athletic was that he played through that soreness on Tuesday night and reportedly received treatment in the locker room afterwards for nearly an hour, if not more. So I think he's definitely managing this issue. But he went through shoot around this morning and should be good to go. So like in terms of Q tags are technically like 50-50. So I guess that you can call it fake, but the injury is real. Like he's actually playing through it, but it obviously hasn't really affected his performance too much. So yeah, we saw Luka just torch Keegan, Kyrie torch Keon Ellis. Yeah, I mean, what are you kind of general thoughts on this Mavs team? Are we just thinking they're going to keep rolling, or King's going to do something different, or what are you expecting?
I don't know. They played great, man. Like I thought that was execution wise. I thought they were really good on Sabonis. PJ Washington, dude, what is going on with this guy? He guards De'Aaron Fox. He guards Wemby. He guards Kevin Durant. He guards everyone now. He's like
Yeah.
new. He's like new OG.
Yeah.
It's wild, man. I thought they did a great job on Fox and Sabonis, so I wanted to shout them out. They put it was Exum and PJ guarding Fox, and then the bigs. I thought PJ might guard Sabonis because they've been putting him on so many pieces, but putting him on Fox, I did not see coming. Again, Exum was the secondary when he subbed in there. So yeah, I thought they played great. I'm not betting this. I don't know. I think the Kings will have a chance. We could swing to them.
Yeah.
Sasha Vezenkov, the fakest Q of all time. He's not playing today. Then anything else you want to know here? Mike Brown was pretty upset, and I'm like a little worried. We see him after they get blown out. Sometimes Mike Brown like pulls out something. Like that's how Keontae got going. Like Keon was out of nowhere. Like, do they pull out a Kessler Edwards? Do they pull out like Kobe Jones or something? I don't think so. I think the game's too important. But just did want to note that. But yeah, Sabonis, man, they put bodies on him all day. Like the help came so quick. Just really good game from on a back-to-back to have that energy on defense was really, really impressive. And like They took away their fast break points. They like neutralized the Kings in every way. It was just a really big game from Dallas.
Yeah, I do think the Kings bounce back tonight. If I was to bet, I'd bet on
Yeah.
them winning. I think the spread's like 1, so pretty much a pick 'em. So I think they bounce back.
Yeah.
Fox has a big bounce back game. They threw that PJ Washington wrinkle at him last game. He should be prepared for it this time. So I think he would be the guy I would target on this Kings team to bounce back. Malik Monk should have a better game too. Like he's been kind of tired, but the minutes
they put good defenders on him, man. Like they put like Derrick Jones Jr. on him. They guarded him.
You look at the quotes from these coaches that are asked about Malik Monk, like they just give him a lot of respect. I mean, he's gaining that reputation as he should, like 6th man of the year. So not a surprise, but I think he should have a good game as well. Like really promising to see him play that much off the bench.
Yeah. All right, and then thoughts on DeJounte yesterday? 44 shots, just insane. I don't know. I just wanted to get your thought with a Q tag, and I said it was like basically fake Q. That was crazy. And any Boston takes I can get? We got to get this over an hour since you said you have free time. Well, are you freaking out about Boston? Is this do you trade Trae Young? Like, there's go ahead.
Nah, I mean Trey's gone. I think this summer. Like I'd be shocked if he's back there regardless. I don't think it has a ton to do with DeJounte's run down the stretch. But like 44 shots is obviously super funny. But who else is taking shots on that team, man? Like you look at they're playing like Wesley Matthews was ISO defense on I think it was like Tatum down the stretch. Like they're just damn near out of options, man. But that was a cold shot from DeJounte. Yeah. And I'll say,
where's the help defense, bro? The guy's got 43 shots. You're gonna let him get a clean one off like that?
No, make any of these other guys beat you, like for real. Like so, Boston. I think the rap on them has been pretty consistent. Like they late in games, their offense just becomes a lot of iso ball, and
Tatum again with
very
a fadeaway elbow
to be giving up big leads. And I think that rap on them is still the same, and when we get in the playoff setting, I don't know if Miami's the team to do it again, but maybe they get in those spots, they get tight, man. They just it's in their back, it's mental, man. It's in the back of their heads. Like we've seen it so many times where they build these big leads and they get so out of character in the fourth quarter, especially late in games. So they had their worst loss of the season before this. This was up there too. They've had some very, very bad ones. Back to back against Atlanta without Trae is problematic.
DeAndre Hunter, too good. He was crushing. Clint Capella killed them. That was a problem. And that's not usually, they don't usually get killed in the paint, but second chance points, like you can't do. I just getting killed on second chance. That's like, oh, we're not ready. I don't think that they were taking the team seriously. I'm not freaking out.
No.
Which I guess we could transition to Underdog, because we are. I did some drafts this morning, and I have some Boston stacks that looked pretty good. But anything you guys got going on over Underdog?
MLB opening day was yesterday, so we're just launching our Underdog MLB account, getting that going. We've been doing a really good job kind of covering things during spring training. So that's been top of mind right now. We got a couple more weeks, obviously, of the NBA left. Where we got Winky's 10 takeaways on the feed every night.
So good.
I recommend you guys check that out. That's really informative. Really happy to have him part of the team. And playoff best ball for NBA. And we're starting to. I've been drafting a ton of like NFL admin teams too. Getting my fair share of these rookies that are coming in, and a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, the sports book is in full effect in North Carolina, so a lot of stuff we're doing.
Yeah, for sure. I have two Jaylen Brown team. I could pull up one of my teams. I am so mad just to talk about my best ball teams. I know what's worse, talking about your fantasy teams or talking about your bracket. But dude, I was so tilted. I had such a nice stack going right here. I had Tatum, Jamal, Drew, MPJ, and I was like, come on, Horford. Didn't get him.
Oh, man.
So, pure pain. But yeah, so yeah, that's on. We have our rankings up now, so you guys
Yeah.
can pop over to the site and check that out. They're updated every day. Every day we're looking at the updated odds to advance and all that stuff. So
Any
we
kind
take
of
it,
early leans on teams you like as value? Just
I've
put one
only done
together.
2, but yeah, it's just timing. Like it's tough to get Clippers. Like, because I've only drafted 2 teams, and I had Boston both times, which is hard.
Yeah.
Like you have to just take shots. You have to just like, okay, invest in Boston. That's your team, and then just
Yeah.
like take shots. My first wave, like, can I get Nuggets? Very
Yeah.
hard to do that.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like, okay, can I get Clippers? And then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I missed all this, and then I usually mix in some Pelicans, like cross my
Yeah.
fingers that they
Yeah.
kind of get hot. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're actually gonna do a podcast on this on Monday, so that'll be really great. Chris Lafficus is incredible at that, and then obviously Dink. So
For
yeah, make
sure.
sure you check us out for that. And yeah, if you're listening to this, if you want to keep this show free, hit the subscribe button, hit all that stuff. We're trying to get to 5,000 subscribers. We're almost there. I think we're going to do it. Obviously, the content we really care about. Hope you guys are having a great week. March is about to end, which is pretty nuts. So pretty exciting times. It is going to actually be me. I'm filling in for Dink on the DFS show as Dink is healing up. Dink's still going to be working on projections. So don't if Dink has to choose between projections work and showtime, it's going to be projections. So it'll be me and Samjet Farini on the DFS show today. The Hike Boys, my hiking buddy Sam. So that'd be really fun. Really appreciate everyone listening. I hope you guys have a great weekend. And fan, thank you so much. This is the best. I'm so happy you're back. You guys take care. Have a great weekend.